Hey there, it's CJ Willie, and I'm back with some more eBay packages. There's a seller on eBay that when a new Magic the Gathering set comes out, usually has almost all the rares in the set available for sale in playsets. A playset in Magic is 4 of the same card. In a Magic the Gathering deck, you can have 4 copies of the same card. I'm going to go ahead and open these and go through the cards that I picked up from the seller. So I'll take these off screen, not show any identifying information, and I'll be right back. Okay, I am back with the cards that I picked up from this eBay seller. Kamigawa Neon Dynasty is the newest set that Magic the Gathering has released. I picked up a play set of each of these rares, so I'll go over each of the rares really quickly and then maybe show the price. I want a Greasefang Okiba Boss because for 3 mana you get a 4/3 body, but it also has some interactions with vehicles. So at the beginning of combat on my turn, I can return a target vehicle card from my graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, and then I can return that to my hand at the beginning of the end step, meaning that I can pretty much recurse a vehicle that I had in my graveyard, get it onto the battlefield, and then get it back to my hand where I can replay it. I think that can end up being pretty powerful in vehicle-based decks. So I've got a playset of that. Then I picked up a playset of Cloudsteel Kieran. For 3 mana you get a 3/2 flyer, but this is a new card type where it's an artifact creature equipment Kieran. It's on the battlefield as a creature, but if I pay the reconfigure cost, which is very similar to equip, then my equip creature has flying, and it gets kind of a platinum angel effect where I can't lose the game and my opponent can't win the game. I think this could end up being a pretty powerful card. The next rare that I picked up was Tribute to Horubai, and it's an Enchantment Saga. It's a little bit of a weird card in that the first 2 chapters, opponent creates a 1/1 black rat rogue creature token that can attack me or block my creatures, but on the flip side, I get a 3/3 flying haste creature and I gain control of all rat tokens. So if my opponent doesn't get rid of the rat tokens for whatever reason, not only will I have a 3/3 flyer with haste, but I'm going to have those rat tokens, and when I attack with Echo of Death's Wail, I can sacrifice a creature and draw a card. So I could end up sacrificing those rat tokens to get me a card. I think it's a sleeper card and I think it can be pretty powerful. I think this Eater of Virtue is going to be a really interesting card. I'm not sure if it'll take off, but for 1 generic mana, I can play it, and then I can equip it for 1, and that equipped creature gets +2/+0. However, if that creature dies, I need to exile it, and then as long as the card that I've exiled with Eater of Virtue has flying, first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, protection, reach, trample, and vigilance, my equipped creature gets that. So I think that card can end up being pretty powerful. The next playset that I picked up was Kami of Transients. So for 2 mana, it's a 2/2, and it has some pretty cool abilities. It's got trample, and you think, trample on a 2/2, not that big of a deal. But whenever I cast an enchantment spell, I can put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then at the beginning of each end step, if an enchantment was put into my graveyard from the battlefield, I can return Kami of Transients from the graveyard to my hand. I think right now there's a pretty strong green-white enchantment deck running around, and I could see this being a pretty key component. A really quick 2-drop that's going to grow as I continue to cast enchantment spells, which could be enchantment creatures, enchantment auras, enchantment sagas, etc. A Thundering Reiju, 4 mana, 2 generic, 2 red for a 3/3 haster. Whenever Thundering Reiju attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then Thundering Reiju deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of modified creatures you control other than Thundering Reiju. A modified creature was defined in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty as a creature that has an equipment, an aura, or counters. So I can attack with Thundering Rejuve, put the counter on itself. Unfortunately, that's not going to help me deal damage to my opponent. But in red, I could be going wide and putting counters on each of those creatures. So it acts a little bit like a Hellrider that was printed originally in Dark Ascension. I think this is a pretty good card, and I've got a couple of decks in mind where I can put it. Okay, the final playset that I picked up is Springleaf Avenger. For 5 mana, 3, generate 2 green, you get a 6/5 Insect Ninja. It has ninjutsu. For 4 mana, 3 and a green, you can ninjutsu it out. If I have an unblock attacker, I can pay the ninjutsu cost, return that unblocked attacker to my hand, and Springleaf Avenger replaces it, and it's hitting as a 6/5. When it deals combat damage to a player, I can return a permanent card from my graveyard to my hand. I think this is pretty powerful. And in ninjutsu, for 4 mana, 6/5 hitting my opponent, can I take him down 6/5? And I'm going to get something hopefully powerful back from my graveyard into my hand to replay later. Like I said, this particular seller has a lot of rare play sets listed, and they're usually under $2. So I can be picking up play sets for roughly 50 cents a card. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, please subscribe and share. Tell me what you think about these play sets that I picked up. Until next time, when I'm back to crack another eBay package.